It's true, the situation is becoming very difficult, very awkward, and nobody really knows what really might happen from now until September. September is a due date from different perspectives. At least we look at it from three perspectives as Palestinians. One is that last September, when we were in the United Nations, President Barack Obama said that I hope to come next year to this podium and also to see a new government, new state taking its natural place as an independent state next to the other independent states, making reference to Palestine. And so we want to see what he will say next September when he speaks in front of the United Nations again. The second date that we believe it is also important is that when a quartet met and they have decided that direct negotiations should start in September 2010, that it should last for a year and should end in September 2011. So we expect that the quartet will reflect on that and be ready to announce exactly what should really come as a result of negotiations or lack of negotiations. But September 2011, from a quartet point of view, is another important date. Thirdly, that we, the Palestinian government, since almost 2 years, we have really embraced a very important project of state building, institutional development, human resource development, that should really prepare ourselves for September 2011 in order for the international community to recognize a Palestinian state. When that really happens, then we, as the Palestinian people, institutions, and human resources will be ready to take up responsibilities and to engage fully with the international partners in really promoting peace, prosperity, development within the region and the world as a whole. These are three important due dates that for us makes September 2011 a very important date. So yes, we have been working very hard for that September 2011. When we look at it and we see where we are now and what to expect from now until 2011, we are at the end of March, 6 months or even less what is really left. If you take out holidays in Europe, starting in August, then Ramadan month, that will reduce, that time into even less than 5 months. Is it possible that within 5 months we could do something? I think yes. If, the parties are ready to be engaged fully in working very hard in order really to achieve something tangible that will lead into a peace agreement that we will be able to sign, both the Israelis and the Palestinians. The question is, do we have the will to do so? Well, what I've heard from Barak and what I read in the Israeli media on a daily basis makes me believe that this is not going to happen. I read, for example, what Lieberman has said a couple of days ago. I don't know if I have it here. Lieberman said that international support for the establishment of a Palestinian state is actually, quote unquote, support for the establishment of a terror state whose primary aim is the destruction of Israel. If you hear Lieberman saying that, then you close the book, and then forget about it. You think about something else to do for the rest of your life. I think this is really very discouraging kind of statements, actions, but we still believe that there are possibilities. We have been receiving in the last maybe month or so many official visits who came to visit us, us, Israel and Palestine, in order really to see if it's possible to find breakthrough from where we could really do something. And we, at least the Palestinians, we have submitted to the Americans a document. We have passed that document to many other foreign dignitaries who visited us. And in that document, we explained exactly what we expect in terms of how things could really go. Our position that what's important for negotiations to be resumed, first that we should work on the two-state solution based on the 67 borders, the state of Palestine to live side by side with the state of Israel in peace and security, with minor agreed swaps in size and value. This is exactly what we say, that negotiations should, if negotiations are to start, is to start based on the 67 borders, always talking about two states, agreed swaps. The second point, we always talk about security on the day after. When General James Jones was stationed in our territory for 2 years, he worked very hard with the previous government of Olmert, with us, with the Egyptians and with the Jordanians, to prepare a security agreement for the day after. It was accepted by Bush administration, by us, by Olmert, by the Jordanians, and by the Egyptians. Now, Netanyahu says that he doesn't recognize such an agreement, and as such, we have to start again. But when we start again, he makes reference that he wants to have Israeli soldiers stationed on the Jordan Valley for the next 40 years. 40 years, 40. When direct negotiations started in September the 2nd, 3 meetings were held between Netanyahu and Abu Mazen in Washington, in Sharm el-Sheikh, and in his official residence in West Jerusalem. They discussed for 17 hours matters. Netanyahu kept talking about security and kept making reference that he wants to have Israeli soldiers stationed on the Jordan Valley for 40 years, because he cannot really guarantee what might happen, the threat that might come from the east. Of course, he also talked about stationing soldiers on the west, next to the wall, etc. But anyway, our position, the second point, is that we should really talk about security the day after, and we are ready to have a demilitarized state, no army, only strong police, and we are ready to accept the presence of Third International Party. This Third International Party was accepted by the American administration during Bush administration. This Third International Party could be formed from NATO forces, could be led by the Americans. Israel could pick the states that will form that force, and we have no problem that if that force could be a soldier or could be 50,000, could stay for a year or could stay for 50 years on our own territory, in order really to provide security for the State of Israel and to provide also for us security from the State of Israel. And we have no problem that if that force will be all Jews, we have no problem. But we cannot accept that there will be one Israeli soldier, even if that Israeli soldier is a Druze or a Muslim. And this is important because for us, the presence of an Israeli soldier, one Israeli soldier on our own soil after independence is a symbol of the continuation of the occupation. And we cannot tolerate that at all. We are ready to accommodate whatever is needed in order to provide guarantees that security will prevail through third international party. The third point, that the timeline to conclude the negotiations on all permanent status issues, borders, security, Jerusalem, settlement, refugees, water, will be no later than September 2011. But at the same time, we say that if we start negotiations during this period and we reach to September and we are still negotiating, we are willing to accommodate that we will keep negotiating until we achieve agreement between the two sides. When we reach an agreement, we are willing to sign an agreement that will put an end to the conflict, an end to the conflict. And when we put an end to the conflict, it means that we'll put an end to all type of claims. This is also important. We have said that very clearly, and we'll keep saying it, because we have the courage to say it, because we want real peace with Israel, and we want to put an end to the suffering, we want to put an end to the occupation, and we want to have a Palestinian state next to the State of Israel.